こんにちは、こんばんは。いつもありがとうございます。たらこです。じゃあ、I am dead ですね。新しいチャプターやっていきたいと思います。どっから行く？ぽよぽよから行く？パーサビランス。あ、人が全然いるんだね。密輸？ランスさん、こんにちはかな、今回は。
By the time Sam started as the harbour controller in '79, the fishing industry in Shelmiston was on its arse. No way to compete with those factory trawlers from the mainland, was there? Couldn't moor those things anywhere near the island, even if we had them. Of course we were all smuggling, stands to reason, done it? There was no money. All those old fishing sheds on the quay, the ones the tourists like, were falling down. Old place looked, pardon me, like a tip. There was a lot of trouble at first. Sam trying to stick by the rules and catch us out any way they could, and us trying any which way to give her the runabout. Wasn't easy, mind you. She was smart, that Sam. You never knew when they were going to pop her head out of the water beside your tub. And to be fair to Sam, some of them smuggling boys were bad uns. Worse stuff than booze on some of them boats, and that's the truth. Probably no bad thing Sam put a stop to it. But in time, Sam started to see how things were, how we do things, and we came to an understanding of sorts. If Sam turned a blind eye to a bit of the decent stuff, the harmless stuff, then we'd report the worst of it. I mean, we all want to keep the seas safe, stands to reason. Plus, Sam was partial to a bottle or two of the sheep shank on occasion. Oh, yeah. Sam was sharp as a gutting knife. They made us hand over some of the, shall we say, dividends to fix up the quay. All them sheds and that. Make them into something we'd be proud of. Turn things around for Shelmiston, that did. Now we get more of those tourists since the big ferry started. And they love a day out on a boat. Ken takes them all out, he does.
あ、かわいいね、イルカさんみたいな教師。
At the same time, Sam organised a kind of work-sharing thing with the fish folk. Got some of them to swim along with the fishing boats, help them locate the biggest shoals. Gave those big trawlers with all their fancy radar gear a run for their money. We'll never be big players in the fishing down here. But thanks to Sam, we hold our own. Bless
ワ
him.
ークシェアリング。うまいこと共存し
I
てた。
reckon I still have a bottle or two of sheep shank stashed away at the museum. Don't suppose anyone will ever drink them now.
なんだろう、密輸のなんか美味しいお酒なんだろうか。あ、探すんか。ふーんとか言って。あれ、さっきのに戻りたい。あ、なるほど。こうしたら初めてここが見れるわけね。この中にあるかな？紫のボトルがこれじゃない？シープシャンク。今探してんの？これじゃないのね。なるほど。すごい。魚運んでますよって言ってお酒運んでますよってこと？そんな簡単な話じゃない？あんまり喋らん方がいい？よく分かってないのがバレちゃう？これ動かせないんだよね。 絶対こんなんかやと思うねんけどな。動かせないんだよね。上下左右が無理なんですよね。こんなんかやと思ってんけどな。ラブのことを思って用意した小包だって。この中は、この箱の中はなんか違う何かが入っている。白い粉に見えるのですが、小麦粉かな。こっちから行けへんのよね。こっちから見ることはできる。あ、もう絶対横なの。へえ、それは困るな。これ以上寄れへんねんもんな。これは水筒。あ、今日の獲物。
なくないですか？また大変なのね。わかりやすいとこにあるのまた気づかんやつかな。でもシープシャンプーにしてほしかったな。
ちょっとひとまず置いとく。ここもいるね。あははは。手振ってくれてる。かわいい。君に決めた。グクー。あ、荒っぽいんだ。こんにちは。
I swim with a pod south of the Fire Isles. I believe the drysiders call the larger one Shelmerston. It's where the ceremony happens for the drysider who stopped the world from cracking. That's where I first heard talk of toast and where I met the friend called Samfire.
トースト
I
好
did
きだよ
not
ね。
believe it at first. A food which snaps so dry. Then one morning at sunup, I followed the ship and caught a blackened slice as it arced into the water. This was the start of my lifelong love of toast. I saw Samfire on the dry side and came up out of the sea to ask them for toast. They asked me to put on some pants, but I refused to denigrate myself with dry-side fabric. No matter, I had brought some shiny coins with me that I found on the seabed and secreted in my swimming falls. Sam took me to their parents' toast shack, but they refused to serve me without clothes. They also told me that my shiny coins were unsuitable, too old. So Sam lent me some trousers, and I swept the toast shack in return for crispy slices. Sam taught me some of the ways of the drysiders, but to be honest, I'm only interested in the toast. I never wanted to eat anything else. Sam understood this.
全然
I
なんか
spend
荒
my
々しい感
nights
じしへん。
swimming through the black waters of the deepest ocean trenches. By day, I come up onto quayside and fill up on the finest crusted seedy bloomer, almost black, no butter.
ボロッボロ
Oh,
な
I
や
could
つが
really
いい
go
の
for a
ね。
nice piece of toast right now. But, yeah, with butter.
その通り。じゃあ多分このコーヒーの中にトーストがあるのかな。あ、もう選択しないと開ける。あら、この人ってそうだよね、芸術の人。旦那さんかな。ソファーの中にトーストはないでしょ。キッチンキッチン。お菓子が入ってる。水筒かな。フルーツティーだって。今ちょっと休憩してんのかな。これ何？あ、荷物か。帽子のケース。ああ、シープシャークだっけ。シャンク。クッションの中まで見ちゃう。なんでこれみんな見れんの。不思議だね。シープシャンクあるね。アマレット。ここにありそう、お酒。食パンはどこにあるんだね。あ、シートの中になんかある。救命胴衣か。まさかソファーの中にないよね。あーあーかわいい。食パンどこにあるの。水の中は潜れないのか。エンジン中。私はもう多分ね、きっとね、探せない人になってるから。食パンを見つけ出すことは私の中で不可能なのかもしれない。あ、この人の胃の中とか。
全部お酒やもんね。ここにトーストなんかある？
ちゃんと洗面用具が入ってるのがいいよね。 どんどんじゃあもうあれしていこう。思い出をたどっていこう。君ピックっていうの可愛いけど、ピックっていうの、ピック豚よ。いた。コーラル、こんにちは。あ、パン食ってる。
It was the sixth summer after I spawned that I went to my first Aggie's Day ceremony. You know, Aggie, the dry cider who saved the world from cracking in two. We don't go on land until we're 6 years old. It's all swimming, wafting around. Standing up is hard at first, the weight distribution. Anyway, I went up dry side for the ceremony, and that was where I first met Sam. It was so loud and hot out there, all that shell blowing. I was bored, and my body felt dry and heavy. I was too young, really. There were souvenir stalls selling bracelets with little stones of polished lava. I wanted one so bad, I would not shut up about it. Sam saw I was fed up. They took me up the beach, away to the dunes, and Sam gave me a little polished stone of my own to play with. Had a heart of gold, they did. It wasn't until years later that I found out it was a tiny replica of the one Aggie died on. We became good friends. Sam helped a lot. They were always on my side. My pod, we were quite traditional, didn't like us working with the dry siders, but Sam talked me into going for the job as a diver on the new harbor. If it wasn't for them, I don't think I'd have tried. That stone was my lucky charm. I took it with me when I went for the interview, and I took it down with me when I went on my first dive. I had a pocket made specially in my tool belt. Sam took me under their fin, invited me out to the camel, and let me stay with them and Blythe on the ferry if it was a late one. And there were plenty of late ones. Karaoke nights are still my favorites. Every time I feel that lucky stone in my pocket, I think of Sam.
200年生きるって言ってたね。
I remember all the fish folk coming up on the beach for Aggie's Day when I was a lad. Seems less of a big deal these days. I guess they still celebrate it, but, well, it's a lot more sedate. Back then, oh, it was a huge event.
Wow, すごい細かい。あれあるね、スポーツのやつやな。麦茶入ってる。コンピューターマウスが入ったマグ。なんで使ってるやん。カインペンだって靴やん。あー、またあるよ。これこれこれこれこれ。書類があってケーブルがある。さあ、じゃあもう思い出をじゃんじゃんいきましょうか。 た。今いた気がした。この人じゃないのか。超人気になるわ。すごいね。このマップも広いや。いた。あー、かわいい。かわいいの来た。ブライズさん、こんにちは。
I first met Sam when I sailed the new ferry, the Queen of the Isles, into harbor. Of course, I'd heard of the fish folk, but I'd never met one. Sam was an amazing pilot, knew the waters better than any boatman. It was strange, steering a course for someone actually in the water, but we never went wrong with Sam to guide us in. Next time I was in Chelmerston, we went for a drink at the Camel. I'm more into bats than beer, but Sam was intriguing, and the atmosphere in there was great, like a warm nest. Great band, too. Awesome sousaphone player. I think we got on because we were both a little bit on the outside of things.
そう、まるで心地よい巣のようだったっていうのがすごくいいですね。
Sam invited me over for toast and hot chocolate. Honestly, hot chocolate doesn't do it for me. But the toast, that multi-seed bread. Sam made the best toast. I told Sam that next to a good cuttlefish bone, that it was my favorite snack. I stayed over. In the morning, we went for a walk along the beach. And just as the sun was rising, I took them flying on my back. We went up and looked down over the islands. Sam wasn't scared at all. They said it was like swimming through the air. It was on the next trip to Chelmerston. We just sighted land when Sam's head popped out of the water right beside my berth and passed me a fresh cuttlefish bone, carved especially for me. When we moved in together, it was the best day of my whole life. I put that cuttlefish bone on my bedside table within big reach. I still look at it every day, every single day.
I just remembered that time Blythe and I did a duet at the karaoke. I can't believe I agreed to it. Must have had a few too many. I never knew how Sam and Blythe met.
ブライズとカラオケしてたんや。へえ。2人はパートナーだったんですね。かわいいな、イカの骨。イカの骨探したいな。全くもって自信がなくなっている私は創作に関して。燻製の魚やって。カチンって言おうとした。ケチャップ。ティアンってなんだ。さあ、この中から探し出すのか。 君はテーブルの中にいるのか。フィンチっていうのがスズメとかそうなんですけど、吸血鬼とかのフィンチから来てるんですよ。くちばしがこう尖ってるやつですね。スズメ文鳥とかもそうなんですけど、実は傷口をこうつついて血を吸うということをしちゃうんですね。だからフィンチって言われるんですけど、ありましたね。あったあったあったあった。今見つけたよ。これだね。これこれこれ。ごめんなさい、自由に探索して。
Oh, I used to love finding these on the beach.
美味しいんだね、イカの骨って。フィンチ族っていうのはこういうコラですね。くちばしがこうね、尖ってるコラですね。多分いろいろ見て回ると思うので、ここ一旦ここまでで。すごいなんかいっぱい遊べそう、
I'm
このゲー
getting
ム。
the scent of Grenkins again, Morris. I'll pop up to let you know when we're close to one.
ありがとう。ある程度いかんと教えてくれへんね、いつもね。この先はいけへんのかな。ここ絶対いると思うねんけど、どうですか。いない。そうですか。あともう一個どこやろうね。あ、ここやな。います？います。なんかかわいいね。とりあえず思い出行ってみていい？ウィンクルさん、こんにちは。
When I was a kid, I hated the annual Morlo Call. I was kept away and found excuses not to be there. Then, aged 10, my dad marched me down to the beach with other men and put a knife in my hand. It was the worst day of my life. I saw Morlo slit from jaw to belly, more blood than you could imagine. I didn't sleep for months after.
これは読みますね。まだ俺が子供だった頃、毎年行われるモーロの間引きが嫌だった。なんとか言い訳を見つけて、その場から離れているようにした。10歳になると、父親、そして他の漁師と共にビーチへと連れて行かれて、手にはナイフを握らされた。人生最悪の日だった。そこには顎から腹まで切り裂かれたモーロが横たわり、おびただしい量の血が流されていた。何ヶ月も悪夢にうなされるような光景だった。
But you grow up, don't you? I never felt it right that we was killing Morlos, but what could I do about it? I was just a fisherman. One day I see Samfire, the new harbour officer, handing out leaflets on the quayside. Stop that, Col! I went along to that first meeting at the campsite. Greg Litherland was one of the other organisers. It was beautiful. So much hope around that campfire. When I spoke about the pain of the Morlo, it really felt like the young uns were listening.
グレッグとやってた魚人さんか。なるほど。キャンプ場で行われた最初の会合に参加してみた。グレッグ・リザーランドが主催者の一人だった。なんとも素敵な場所だった。ここには希望があふれていた。モーロの苦痛を私が訴えたとき、そこにいた若者たちは真剣に耳を傾けているのが分かった。
Me, Sam and Greg held regular events to raise funds for badges and patches. I was proud to wear mine on my best Gansey. There was quite a rift between us and the old guard. They felt the ban was an attack on our ways. Sam and me took a load of the fishermen out for a beer, and Sam made them listen. They really respected Sam. We got most of them on our side that way. By 87, we finally felt like we had enough support to push for change. So the week before the Morlos showed up, we organised a mass dying on the beach. There were loads of us lying down on that sand, islanders, fishermen, fish folk all together. And the press showed up, and the mainland TV, and for the first time in 500 years, we stopped that cull.
すごいね。すごいね。
I'm so glad we don't do that cull anymore. I was proud of Sam and that lot when they finally made the old uns see sense. And, well, I did my part. Held a lot of those early meetings at the museum, we did.
Naniこれ?これじゃないか。なんか骸骨みたいな感じすんねんけど。違うな。違うね。ここしかないの？ここのマップって。そんなわけあるかいやんな。あるある。全然ある。かわいい。あった。かわいい。
Oh, I love Morlos. Such gentle creatures.
なんでやってたんやろね。そういうことでもやってたってことはなんか意味があるんやろなとは思うけど、わかんないけど、その趣味とかなのかわかんないけど、趣味わからんけどね。なんかでも絶対意味があってやってはいるよね。その別に生きることと関係ないとしてもね、意味がないのにお腹を裂いてっていうことは多分やらないよねと思うんですが、どうなんでしょうか。わかんないですけど。